right? Security, SAP security here. So SAP, why we need a security for the SAP application? For each and every layer, maybe log into the client server, client desktops, you need a security, right? And network level security. Then, so SAP level security, OS level security, DB level security. So many places we need a security. Even in our mobile phone also we need a security. Why? Because we have the very sensitive and confidential data, business data, right? So same as like SAP system also contains the very so sensitive and confidential data of their client and business. Hence, there is a need of regular audit of SAP computer systems to check their security and data integrity. So for this purpose only, we need the security here, right? So security is like a one of the balancing act for protecting the SAP data applications from unauthorized use, right? Unauthorized use and access, right? So why? Because a basis, we have the basic scope of activities, we have to use it. Then security people, development related transaction codes. So we have to segregate it. Each and every division or each and every module, we have to divide the policies. Otherwise, we may have access to the other transaction codes as well. It will create the so it will create the other nuisance in the systems, right? So that is the reason. If you are the basis team, means you only have access to the basis related transaction codes and everything, right? So above means only above. So you should not. So that is the security. It's a balancing act for protecting the SAP data, protecting the SAP data here. So same as like in SAP also, to log into the SAP system itself, without to log into the SAP system itself, you need a SAP user ID and passwords are required. You need a SAP user ID and passwords are required here. To log into the SAP system, you need a user ID and passwords are required here. So SAP authorizations are, it's a client based, it's a client dependent here. If you have access to this client, then you need to have work on this client only here, right? That is the security. So once you log into the system, then you can use your own transaction codes based upon the role and do everything here, right? So now, suppose example, so nowadays we all are using the one transaction codes here. Everybody, we are using the one transaction code, that is called the one user. We are using the basis user. So some users are deleting, some users are doing something. Then how can I know which one who deleted? Why? Because all are using the common things they are using. So that sometimes it will create the some problems, right? So in this case, so we should not have the common ID. We have to use the individual ID. So if someone did something, their user ID is recorded so that we can restrict the access for them, right? So that is the main case. In the real time, everybody will get the own user ID. In the real time, everybody will get the own user ID so that so we can able to access the everything here. That is the main thing here, right? So here, same as like SAP, we can create the users, we can assign the authorizations, right? So user, we can create it. So user name. Then also we can also create the roles creation also it's required here. Then authorization here, right? So if you one person, one user wants to access something, he need the role, and the role is required the authorization means authentication to the particular data or object or table or t code. So that is required here, right? In that role we will mention the respective authorizations in the system, right? So here user role authorizations, these things, three things are required as part of the security here, right? So user creation, to create the user, we have to use the SU01, SU10, we have to use it here. SU01, SU10, we have to use it here. SU01 is for creation of the user, only single user. Maybe if you want to delete the user, if you want to unlock the user, if you want to reset the password, if you want to create the new user, we can use the SU01 here. So you can just click on the, suppose I'm going to create the new user here, right? So I'm going to create the new user with the name of the Ravi. Okay. So then I can create the new user. So then click on the create the new user, then so that the user will be created here, right? So then there is a, I think, issue. Let me log in with the 001. So SU01. So then maybe you can create the, so one user. So let's see. So here you can define the user first name, and so the last name you can define it. First name, last name you can define it. So you have to fill the all the details, mobile number, cost center, email address, and all the details here. Then go to the SAP logon. Then then you can mention the type of user here. What is the type of user here? So they are the five types of users here in SAP. There are the user type here, user type here, user type here. So here, so there are the five type of users here. One is the dialogue user, system user, communication user, reference user, service user here. So dialogue user, the persons who wants to log into the system with GUI, and that will provide the interactive access to the system, that is called the dialogue user. That is called the dialogue user here. The people who wants to log into the system, like, means we are the humans, like, so then all the people as the dialogue users here, right? System users means sometimes we may have to system users in the background job administration, then ALE, workflow, TMS, and those things we will use the system users here. In that purpose, we will use the system users, right? System users here. So custom, right? There are the system users. System users means they will log into the so systems, and so they will work on the these things here, right? The service communication user to communication purpose, communication with the RFC destinations, communication with the other systems and everything. Reference user means for debugging purpose we will use the reference of the same basis user. Service user means the service level we will maintain the users here. Service level we will maintain the users here, right? These are the, so the types of users we have in the SAP here, types of users here, right? So reference user, there is no logon possible, just a reference purpose only here, right? The service user is for, so available larger the group of users, somewhere we will service level we will maintain the service users here, that we can log in. So system users, there is the multiple user logon background jobs, that purpose you will use the system user here. So we are like a dialogue users here. So we have to reset the our users here. We have to reset the users. So we have to set the password. Then if you have a group, if you want to validity from this date to next month, then we can maintain the details here. Then SNC is not required. The defaults also not required. So then main thing is the role here, role here. So what he wants to use it here, right? User you created. Suppose example, you created the user now. Okay. You created the user now here in the systems here, right? Suppose example, you created the user, Ravi user is created. Suppose if you try to access now, if you try to access the Ravi user now, so there is a password. If you set it out, then it will ask the reset the password. Then you can reset your own password. You can set it out, right? So if you set the password, so you done your own password resetting is done here, right? So then if you try to access something here, you cannot able to access here. You cannot able to access. You are only user is there, you authenticated, but you cannot able to access any of the transaction code in the SAP system here, because of you are created only user. User has been created here, right? Then what about the access to the transaction code here? In that case, the roles are required here. User roles are required here. The role assignment is required here. But before that, we should know the role, right? We should know the role here. So to know the role, then you have to go to the PFCG. PFCG is the transaction code here. PFC is the transaction code here. So here we need to create the role. Role creation. We have to do that one here. Role creation. So role is like it will control the user access. It will control user access to the transactions, reports and application here. Role is kind of a container that contains the what is the user, what he has to be assigned it, combination of transaction codes, authorizations, records, menu. So whatever the authorizations, each and everything we will maintain in the role here. Role kind of a container. In that container, we will maintain like what this role is used for, what type of transactions, reports he should access, related details. We will fill it on the roles here. Then profiles. Profile stores the authorization data here, which objects, which fields user can access. The standard profiles also available, we can use it, or custom profiles also we can use it here. So authorization object concept also, it will define relationship between the fields and restrict and allow the access to the fields, and all these things will be defined. So roles, profiles and authorization objects that we have to define in the role here. Suppose you are going to create suppose you created the Ravi user. In that Ravi user, you are going to create one of the transaction code, one of the role you are creating for that is called the L1 role you are creating here. L1 role means you can able to access, suppose like L1 role, maybe only limited transaction code. L1 team means only limited transaction code you should access here. Then go to the menu, then you can enter the transaction codes. We want to enter the transaction codes. We want to enter the reports function, whatever you want to access, you can access it here. Suppose you want to give the access to the some of the valuable transaction codes to the user, then ST22, then SM50. L1 team means monitoring team. Then you can do the monitoring of the all the transaction codes, right? So then all the dumps, then SM21, then SM13, all the transaction codes you can maintain in, they can assign the transaction codes to the role here. Role kind of a container here. In this container, so we are doing the this kind of thing here, right? So that is the main thing here, right? So we have to maintain the all those things here, all the things we have to maintain it here, right? So assign this transaction code, suppose like example. So then click on the save button. So once you assign the transaction code and save button, assign this role to the user here. So user means Ravi user. Then Ravi can able to access the this related transaction codes only. This related transaction codes only in the system. But you can access, but you cannot enter. Why? Because respective authorizations are required here. The profile we have to generate, authorization profile we have to generate, then go to the change authorization data. Change authorization data here. Here we need to assign the respective profile, respective authorization object we have to assign it here. Respective authorization objects we have to assign to the this profile here, right? So then only can able to access the that particular transaction code page, either display mode or full mode. You can able to access the particular transaction code here. So here the transaction code, right? Shortcut to the business application. You can able to access the transaction code here, right? Here you can see you can generate it. There are the roles here. There are the two types of roles are available here, single role and composite role here. Whenever you are creating the role here, you see there is a single role and composite role here. Now we created as a single role contains the authorizations required for the user, whatever the user position, then respective authorizations, transaction codes, everything we assigned here, right? So single role can be derived from the multiple organization values. Single roles can be technical roles are assigned to the business role here, right? So single role means whatever the role we are creating, that is called the single role. Composite means group of or collection of single roles can be assigned to the user. Means all the 10 roles we can have, we can create as a one composite role. This composite role we can assign to the one single role, we can assign it to the one single role, we can assign it here, right? So means quicker assignment for the multiple roles, easy to modify the user accounts and everything here. So the only drawback of the drawback of the composite role is so less transparency. That's it can be more difficult to maintain, and there is an increase of the risk of the increase risk. There is a risk here to assign the composite role here. Single role means so multiple roles we have to assign to the user, but here one role, combination of the multiple roles, we can add it to the one composite role here, right? So that is the roles concept here. Here authorization object, even though you assigned the transaction code to the, you assigned the transaction respective authorizations transactions to the user role. This role you can assign to the user here. Let's take the one more thing, then go to the SU01 transaction code, then assign this role to the user here. What is the role you created? Z underscore the underscore basis, then L1 team. Then you assigned this role to the user here, right? Then the user, this user, now this user, whatever the user, now the Ravi user, we log into the Ravi user, he can able to perform the all those things here, all the things here, right? He can able to perform the all the things. Now you see the user can able to access the all the transactions and everything here, right? So why? What happened previously? Why now? Why? So he is not able to do it previously, earlier. Why? Because this transaction codes you assign it to the role you assign it to the user here, the role you assign it to the user, he can able to access it here. Suppose at the same time, if you try to give access to the some other new transaction codes which are not assigned, suppose like example, what is the transaction code called? So, so suppose like example, the new transaction code STMS. Okay. If you assign it, you cannot able to access the STMS. Why? Because STMS is not added to the here. So then what you have to do, you need to go to the authorization. So sometimes you may not able to access. So authorization object is required here. The authorization object is required here to assign the roles, the authorization object here. Sir, how can I find out the authorization object here? Authorization object here. So then if you go to the authorization object SU22 or 24, you can find out the transaction code. Suppose like so SM21. What is the authorization object for this transaction code here? You will get the respective thing here, right? So this is the so transaction code SM21. What is the authorization object? So you can see the lot of so things here. You can see the system authorizations, right? System authorizations S underscore EDMI underscore FSD. So this authorization object we have to assign to the here. This authorizations object we have to assign to the here. Then we have to provide the authorizations here. We have to provide the see here. Here you need the what is required here. Full authorizations, then ICM, live cache, then what is required here? Reading the client settings. So system messages, SM21, then SP01, then what transactions is need access, ST22, then so STAU, seek user buffers, create the new client T000, then lock unlock the transaction codes, then Unix commands. So then he required the access to this transaction codes, then save it. Then so just click on the generate. Once you assign the respective transaction codes and assign it, generate it, then you can now save it, right? Save it. And if we go to the user, which user this role is assigned, it will display the user names here, right? So here you can assign the, so Ravi one user here, right? Save it. So there is a user comparison here, right? Green. So as always, user comparison should be green here. Now, so you can try to, so now this is the transaction code, right? So if you go to the SM21, you can able to access now, right? So then STMS you have not added. Then if you access the some other transaction codes like, so what is that called, the SP01. So SP01 also you have not assigned, but only authorization object you assigned here. So then you can able to access now all those things here. You can able to access now here in the system. You can able to access the this thing also here. So all those things you can able to access. But whatever these things are not listed here, you only listed the transactions are called the only these things which are not listed. You cannot access in the system. Suppose STMS, this is not, you have not added. That's why you are not authorized to use this transaction code. So what did SAP is telling? SAP is restricting this transaction code to access, right? So why? Because without you assigning this transaction code access to you, then how can you access this one, right? It is restricting. The SAP is doing this job. So, but SAP is restricting to use these transactions, right? So then, so suppose if we go to the SU53 here, here we can find out the what is missing here. What is missing here? What is missing here? What? So here SU53 is the transaction code. We can find out the authorization data, authorization issues for the user here. So remaining and all is okay, is able to access, but only when you execute the STMS is unable to execute it here. Why? Because there is a authorization object, there is a TCD field that STMS is missing here, right? In the system SM13, there is something is missing, S underscore T code. So which means something is missing here, right? Then you can go to authorization objects. So you can just go to the SU22. There we can find out the authorization objects and SU24. So then here also we can find out the respective authorization default values. We can find out here SU22, 24. We can find out the authorization values and everything here, right? So that is the one thing we can find out. And also something is missing, right? Go to the PFCZ based upon the SU53 transaction code. Here SU53 is for the finding out the SU53 will find out the what is missing here. Go to the authorizations, change the authorization data here. Then something is missing here. We only assigned the S underscore. Now you want to assign the something is missing as per this error, some S underscore T code. S underscore T code, you need the access to the TCD, right? Then S underscore T code, S underscore T code here. Then what is missing? There is a field. There is a X underscore. So there is a TCD. In the TCD, the field is missing here. The TCD, the field is missing here, right? Just I entered the star for full transactions. Then status generated. Go back. Then save it. Save it. Done. Right? Now you can able to. You can try to do now. Can try to go to STMS now. So still you are unable to access here. So TCD field is missing still. So we can find out the error, what is missing. If you go to the SU53 here, you can see here again there is a one more error. TCD transaction code is okay now, but the thing is here S underscore trans PRT, the organizer, the activity is equal to 03 field is missing here. Then this authorization object is missing here. Even though if you don't remember the authorization objects, even though if you don't remember the authorization objects here, Then in SU53, you will find out what is missing to access, what is missing to access, right? So then you can able to access that one here. You can able to access that related things. You can access it in the systems here, right? So previously you are unable to access all those things here, right? TCD. So from start, suppose like STMS, that is you assigned, save it, transaction generated. So now what it is telling here, so now s underscore trans that is missing here. Now we can go to the here, now we can go to the here. Now again add the authorization object s underscore trans. So then here you can assign the activity ACT 03, right? Otherwise, full authorizations you can assign it here. Then what is missing here? You can assign the missing authorizations here. So whatever the authorization object is missing, then you can assign the all the things to the user, right? So you can generate it here. Just go back and save it. Right? So now you can ask user to use it now. See, now you are able to access the STMS transaction code in the system, right? So why earlier? Why not now? Why now? Means, so because of the this change authorizations are restricting to access this one here. That is the main thing of the transaction codes here, right? That is the main thing now here, right? So this authorization object is restricting to access the particular business page, means transaction code here. This authorization object is assigned to the one role. This role is assigned to the user here. So once the user's roles are ready, then what you can do, you can assign this role to the all the L1 people, all the L1 team, you can assign it here. Then people can only access to the related transaction code. In case of is trying to access the different one, then so then the use system will restrict to access those things here. System will restrict to access here, right? That's what we can do it here in the systems, right? So that is the authorization objects and the roles and users here. So normally for SU01 is only for the single user creation. SU01, if you see the SU01 is only for the single user creation. If you want to lock the user, you lock the user, then user is locked. Then you cannot log into the system since user is locked status here. So then if you try to access the transaction code, if you try to log into the system, it says that user is locked. So user is locked or something like that. You will get the error message. You cannot able to log into the system, right? So that is the one thing here. So but if user is locked now, right? So now what will happen if you unlock it, user can log in, right? You can reset the password, right? You can also change the password of the users and all those things. We can do that one here. That's the thing here, right? Sir, it is only one user. I have so 20 users are there at a time. I want to create it means then you can go for the SU10. SU10, you can create the number of users at a time. Number of users we can create it at a time here, right? We go to the SU10. So here you can use the number of users we can so create in the systems here. The test users we can create it here, right? So then all the users you can mention. Then provide the authorization data here. Click on the create. Then so what is the user dialog user? What is the role you want to assign to the user? So Z underscore. So basis L1. This role you want to assign it to the user. So right, just click on the save button here. All users, all 5 users created at the same time. Then the role also added. The role also added. The password also generated. See the password. The password also generated automatically. See, the password also generated automatically here. So now just send these passwords and user to the then them all users are created at a time. At a time, all users are got created here, right? So this is the one thing password generated, then role also assign it to the users here. Role also assign it to the users here, right? So this way we can do the multiple things here. Multiple things we can assign to the users here. That's what we created here. So if we want to lock all the users, we can lock it from here as well here, right? If we want to unlock, if we want to change the password, if we want to change the password of the user, then you can change the password of the all the users password. You can change it here again. So again, you can change it here, right? That is what we can do it in the systems here, right? SU10 for so mass user creation, right? So then SU01 single user creation here, right? SU01 single user creation here. So then SU10 that is called the mass user creation, right? So PFCZ, the roles and authorization object here. Then SU22, SU24 authorization objects here. Next one is the EWZ5. EWZ5 is the locking and unlocking the users here. EWZ5 here. So this is for the locking and unlock the mass users here. Then you can select the users here. You can select the users here. Then lock the users here. All users will be locked status here. Then if you select the users, if you unlock it, all users will be unlocked here. So locking and unlocking can be done by using the so EWZ5. So all the users we can lock it, we can unlock it as well here. Admin lock, we can do that one, right? So then SUIM is the transaction code for the user informations. For the user information, SUIM is the transaction codes that is for the so user information system. That is we can find out here. SUIM here. So here suppose you want to find out the something here, users by address data, unsuccessful logons, logon date change. Suppose if you execute this one, logon date, just click on the execute button. Here you will find out the what are the users are there when they have logged into the systems. Here today we logged into the systems. Then this is the user DDIC. Then Ravi user also logged in. Then remaining users are not logged in. Then SAP star is logged into the systems here. Right? You can get the some reports. Right? And also you can also try with the critical authorizations. Which user having the critical authorizations here? Which user is in the critical authorizations here? Users by address data, the address of the users here, all the users address related information will be displayed here. So some reports, user information system. So some authorize some critical profiles, critical roles. So you need to find out the so suppose there is a role. So there is a role on Z underscore. The basis there is a critical role. This role assigned to the which users, right? It will provide the all the details here. Which this role is in the which authorization objects. Then you can see the all the information in the system here. You can find out the here, right? So one role, right? With assignment or without assignment. So number of users. So what is the user? So the different things we can find out here, right? So then also you can find out the transaction codes, executable transaction codes by the basis user. Suppose like I want to find out the Ravi one is able to access the what are the transaction codes here. See here he can able to access the this related transaction codes only, right? So then what about the Ravi 2? We can compare it here, right? Ravi 2, what is able to access the same level. Why? Because same role we assign it to the Ravi as well here, right? Comparison of the roles, users and everything here. So Ravi 1 and the Ravi 2, we want to compare the both the users things here, right? So both users has the same level transactions and everything here, right? Suppose if I compare the Ravi 1 and basis has the huge difference here. Basis has the huge difference here, right? You can see it here. Basis has the all the transaction code access here, whereas Ravi has only few transaction codes access here. See here, here you have the comparison. So Ravi user and Basis user, what is the transaction code access? Basis has the all the access here, all the access here, but Ravi only few things he has the access in the systems here, right? That is what we have. Why? Because Basis SAP underscore all profile we assigned. That's why we can able to access the transactions and everything here, right? So that is the so that is the transaction code here, right? So display, so SU, suppose sometimes what happens, so then next one, then SM20. SM20 is like a auditing, security audit, analysis of the security auditing and everything here. So SM19, we can create the audit policies here. Audit policies, we can create it here. Audit policies and the filters, we can activate it here. So then we can create the audit policies and everything. Then, so SM20, we can review the so what is happening in the system and all the information we can see it here. All the information we can active, we can check it in the system. Who locked the user? Where is lock is coming? SM19 and SM20 here, right? So these are the security related stuff here. Maybe we have the full level of security like GRC security, HR security, BPC security also there. But those are actually few actually security is not under our control. So remember, security is not under our control. It will be done by the dedicated security team in a organization. Every organization there is a dedicated security team in the, so they will take care of the security. We won't get chance to work on this part. So but we should know something, the base level R3 security we should know. That's why we discussed about the user creations, role creations, authorization objects. So something like how to lock the user, how to unlock the users, how to create the multiple users. So those things we discussed here, right? So that is the one thing here. There is a one more way to lock the all the users during the activity time. So we may have to lock the users here, right? We may have to lock the all the users in the systems here during the activity time here. So here what we have to do, so what users you want to lock it, just to display it here. Then, okay, this is only locking the user locks, different locks. So select the users. So see how many users are there. So company and all the information will be displayed here. All the SUM we can find out the some useful details and everything here in SUIM. So EWZ5, EWZ5. So we can lock the users. We can lock the users here. EWZ5 here. So this will helpful for locking the all the things and everything here, right? So that is the one thing here. And these are the, yeah, I think pretty much fine for security, fine security side, but because you don't read in-depth knowledge of the, so HR, GRC, all those things, that basic knowledge is enough for you for security, users, roles, authorization object, checking the issues, SU53. So these things are enough. Okay. These things are enough for you to, so just to maintain the normal R3 level security and everything. Okay. I think we have a less strength. That's fine. So any
Uh,
questions, anyone?
Ravi, suppose we have created one user, so we need to send an email with login credentials. We need to send that mail through SAP to that particular user.
Yeah, we can send from SAP or we can also just email them. So in the through Outlook, you can just send the user ID password to them.
Okay, so how we can send through SAP?
SAP means there is a SAP, through SAP, there is a one transaction code. There we will get the business workspace, SBWP, SAP business workspace. So here you can just go to the SB WP. Here you can just write the new message. So here you can just to type the what is that password of the user. Then just you can maintain the body. So whatever the body, then you can maintain the recipients. Recipients is the basis user. Suppose or Ravi user, Ravi one user. Then you can just select the this is the SAP logon username. Yes. Then you can just click on the send button here. Attachment, any attachment, you can send it out here. Then that will go to the users box here, users. So from SAP to users will receive that one. So we can check it out if we go to the SOST. So there we can find out the email users. There we can find out the all the details and everything here, whether it's sent or not here. There is a SAP Connect job. So that will send the emails to the, so it will run it and it will send the emails to the persons here. That will happen.
Okay.
So from here, we can send the emails.
Okay.
We can book the appointments, calendars, meetings. So whatever it may be, so we can try it from here. Distributions list. Suppose you are going to create a Monday. So suppose you need to create a one appointment here, calendar. So customer appointment, title, so meet, create. So that is fine. So you can create the appointment. Here appointment was created calendar for reminding purpose. So like this, yes, that's possible actually from SAP. SAP Business Workspace.
Okay. I have another question. Suppose we have assigned the rules and authorization, but we need everyone get restricted to display only. It means they won't be able to do anything, but they just uh, can see the data only, display access. What is this?
Here in the authorization objects field, so instead of full authorization for whatever the role, whatever the authorization, here you have
Mhm.
the option actually whether you need only this full authorizations, only display authorizations. So those things we have to assign here. Those things we have to assign to the, suppose the example, if you see the some transaction code, so you need the display access or full authorization. If you select the full, you can able to access the everything here, right? So that
Okay.
is the one thing. So here we have to restrict it here. Here we have to restrict the all the things here. Means authorization objects, authorization side. So we have to do the restrictions of these transactions and everything. So
Okay.
this here we have to maintain the display or something. Suppose example manually, let's create the one more thing here. S underscore develop. Okay. Suppose example. Here there is the S underscore develop. Okay. Here. So above workbench. So activity. So you need only display access, then activity number 3. So then you can select only display thing here. What packages you need access, that package. So here you need to select in the activity field, either you need only display or change button or delete button or execute button. So whatever. So related things you need to select it here. Related things also you need to select it. Based on that, you can able to do the respective thing.
Okay.
But you don't need in-depth knowledge as a basis consultant, but that's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's it, guys.